Yeah. ערב של שושנים, נצאנה אל הבוסתן, מור בשמים ולבונה, לרגלך מפתן, לילה יורד לאט, ורוח שושן נושבה, הווה אל חש לך שיר בלט, זמר של אהבה. ערב של שושנים. You can find the words on 654 away in the back of your siddur. ערב של שושנים, נצאנה אל הבוסתן, מור בשמים ולבונה, לרגלך מפתן, לילה יורד לאט, ורוח שושן נושבה, הווה אל חש לך שיר בלט, זמר של אהבה. We'll turn to Shalom Aleichem, welcoming in those Shabbat angels, page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Makadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu, Barchoni leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitzchem leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's kind of weird to look out and see Rabbi Brown sitting in the congregation, I just got to say. When we got up to the bima, there were only 2 microphones. I'm like, where's Rabbi Brown's microphone? But Rabbi Brown is Rabbi Mom tonight. And for Rabbi Brown and for Dr. Gardner, for Greg, and the whole Brown Gardner family, we are so thrilled to be able to celebrate this moment with you, with Jonah. He's going to be called to Torah tomorrow morning. He's got brand new shoes on. We're going to see how white we can keep them between now and tomorrow. And to celebrate, hopefully, with your family and your extended synagogue family. It means so much to us. We even put the chairs in straight rows. I'm having like PTSD from the high holidays, just seeing the chairs set up this way. We have been going through some spring cleaning in our home. It started around Pesach. It's not done yet. But we have been sort of, well, I would say at times it feels like we're moving deck chairs on the Titanic because we're just moving boxes from one place to another and throwing out very little. But today we actually did some purging of things. And it was so cathartic. And so I want to invite you to do some spring cleaning of your soul. To purge the stuff, and there is a lot of stuff that is going on in our world and has been going on in our weeks. Whether it's on your social media feed or it's going on in the news. Not to forget these things, but to leave them outside the synagogue and to let this be a sanctuary for a moment. And to just immerse ourselves in this space, in this simcha, and leave all that other stuff behind. Like the things that we've been cleaning out at our home, it'll probably still be there when you come back. throw it away, and it's like trouble with troubles on Star Trek. They just multiply these things. Tribbles. But trouble would be problems with my equalizer on my stereo. Anyhow, leave it all behind and immerse yourself in this moment. And as we do, we light the Shabbos candles. We want to invite to come forward to help us to light those Shabbos candles. I don't think that's actually written down for me. Yes, it is. Fran and Cindy and Rabbi Brown and Yael, the daughter of our bar mitzvah, to come and lead us in a reading and then the lighting of the Shabbos candles. Sorry. And that will be the only mistake that I ever make. So the grandmother's the sister of the bar mitzvah and the mom.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. So we begin our Kabbalat Shabbat service with words of Psalms, specifically Psalm 95. And this time last week, I was sitting out in my parents-in-law's backyard in rural Michigan, and had the opportunity to visit them and sleep in a tent outside. So it's like camping when we go there, which is fun. And it was really nice to sleep under the stars and hear the frogs and the birds. It's like get away from the city a little bit. But that's also kind of what the creators of our Kabbalat Shabbat service were thinking about when they put this together, as a way to welcome Shabbat by being out in nature under the moon. So picture that, the beautiful nature and those sounds that you can hear if you've ever gone camping. We'll start with Lechu Neranenah, page 130. Come, let us sing joyously together. Lechu Neranenah L'Adonai Nariah Letzor Yishenu Nekadma Fanav Betodah Bizmirot Nariah Lo Yana Lai 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 Yana Lai 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 Yana Lai Lai Yana Lai Yana Lai 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 Yana Lai 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 Yana Lai 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 Yana Lai Lai Yana Lai Lai Yana Lai Lai Lai. You got it. Yana Lai 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 Yana Lai Lai Yana Lai Yana Lai 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 Lai Page 131. ובגויים כבודו, וכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומכל הלאות נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. Page 133. מזמור שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, כי נפלאות עשה, הושיע לו ימינו וזרוע, קודשו תהיה אדוני ישועתו, לעיני הגויים גילה צדקתו, זכר חסדו ואמונתו, לבית ישראל ראו כל ארצי הארץ את ישועת אלוהינו, הריעו לאדוני כל הארץ, תצחו ורננו וזמרו, יללי לילי לילי לילי, יללי לילי Top of the next page. Zamru Ladonai. Zameru Ladonai vechinor, vechinor vekozimra. Zameru Ladonai vechinor, vechinor vekozimra. Zameru. Last time. Zameru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor vekozimra. Zameru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor vekozimra. These all sound beautiful today. So we're ready now to turn to 138 for Lecha Dodi, imagining Shabbat as a bride. And when we get to that last verse, we'll stand and face the entrance to greet Shabbat. Lecha Dodi likat kalai adalai 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 beShabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likat kalai adalai 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 beShabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor vedibbur echad, ishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, b'shem מלך עיר מלוכה קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה רב לך שבט במקבחה והוא יחמול עלייך אליי לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדה 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדה 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 בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5 התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי תבוא לאדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדה 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדה 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 בני שבת נקבלה. We'll rise and face the entrance, verse 9. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה. Facing front, everyone together. לך דודי לקראת כלה ידדה 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ידדה 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 בני שבת נקבלה.
We'll remain standing. We're going to turn to page 263 for Chatzi Kaddish, and as we do, we're going to invite our bar mitzvah Jonah to join us on the bima to lead the rest of our service.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה
אמן.
ואלמד דברי חירותי ואמליך מלכותי בחייך נוב יומך ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמם המברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתבער ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו
Amen. Remain standing. The Baruch Hu's on page 264.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
Please be seated. We'll continue with a prayer for evening, page 265.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Bechokma poteach sha'arim uvitvuna mahaseh meshane itim umachalif et hazmani umesader et kochavim bemishmerotehem berakia kirtsono. Bore yom valayla golel or mipnei choshech vechoshech mipnei or uma'ariv yom uma'avi laila umavdil ben yon uben laila Adonai tzavot shemo El chai vekayam tamirim loch aleinu leolam vaed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha avta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu uv'komenu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nishma b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha, le'olam le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chanenu va'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha vedibartam bam Beshivtecha uvetecha uvlechtecha baderech ushofbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot beinenecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Man tiskeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai veitem kedoshim leloichem. Ani Adonai Eloichem. Asher hotzeiti etchem mieretz Mitzrayim liot lachem leElohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
We'll continue Michamocha, page 270, a song of redemption.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כיבד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, Ga'al Yisrael.
Page 271.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Much like I was talking about at the beginning of our service about the spring cleaning of our souls and the leaving of things in their place so that we can just be in this space. Vishamru reminds us that in order to celebrate Shabbat, to observe Shabbat, we actually have to make Shabbat. It seems a little counterintuitive that in order to have a day of rest, you actually have to do some work. But it is a tremendous amount of work to create space, to set boundaries, and to keep things out as opposed to allowing them to come in, or allowing only those things to come in that you desire or need in this time. The essence of Shabbos, the essence of this commandment that we're about to sing about in a moment, to guard and protect Shabbat, requires of us to do the hard work of not doing any work. To do the hard work of setting boundaries, of saying that can't come in because that is going to interfere with the sanctity of my soul and my presence. I want to invite all of us, myself included, to set some boundaries. To set some boundaries in our lives that encircle those and keep those in that we want to keep close, and keeps those things out that we find to be corrosive, to be distracting, to take and sap our souls. That is what it means to make Shabbos. Maybe we can't do that 7 days a week, but we can do it for 24, 25 hours, especially if some of that we're napping and sleeping. And so make Shabbos. Let's do the work of creating a Shabbat Shalom for ourselves, a Shabbat Menucha, a Sabbath of rest. But not yet for Jonah, because he's going to help lead the service. So you, like me, we have to work on this holiday. So we'll continue with Shamru, page 272.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. Yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat 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 Shalom. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ים בדאי דאי דאי, שבת שבת, ים בדאי דאי דאי, שבת שבת, ים בדאי דאי דאי. Shabbat, 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 Shalom.
We'll rise, page 273, Adonai Sefatai Tiftach. Eternal God, help us find the words we might speak with you in prayer.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'zocher Hastei Avot ve'Imaot, Umevi Gula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo ve'Ahava, Melech Ozer, Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei metim atah Rav leChoshiach, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayei metim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato בלי שני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Amen. Please be seated. As Jonah returns to his seat, we return to our siddurim, page 279, Ritzeh.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam me'ahava tekabel u'tehilei ratzon Tamid avodat Yisrael. Yisrael lamecha. El karov lechol korav. Penei el avadecha vechonenu. Shefoch ruchacha. Aleinu. ותחזינה עינינו ושובך לציון ברחמים. ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון, לציון.
Just as Shabbat is there to remind us to set boundaries, so too is it there to remind us to give thanks, to appreciate the good and the blessings in our life. And so we take a moment for Hoda'ot, for prayers of thanksgiving.
On the bottom of page 280, Ve'al Nisecha. Ve'al Nisecha shebechol yom erev v'voker. Erev v'voker v'tzorayim me'olam kivinu lach me'olam kivinu lach hatov ki l'chalo rachamecha v'hamrachem ki lo tamu chasadecha me'olam kivinu lach me'olam kivinu lach.
A prayer for peace, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael lamcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael lamcha tasim le'olam. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael lamcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael lamcha tasim le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam, tasim le'olam, tasim le'olam.
We take a moment for Tefillat Shabbat, the private prayers and meditations of the heart.
Adonai tzuri ve'goali, Adonai tzuri ve'goali. Repeat after me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart together be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yiuled atzon imrefi ve'egyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri ve'goali, Adonai tzuri ve'goali.
We turn our prayer books to page 371 as we offer prayers for healing for those in our community who are sick and in need of this prayer. In a moment, I'll invite you to add to the names that have been shared with us. We ask God's blessing of healing upon Paul Sprackman, Eitan Paris, Sarah Gibson, Stanley Garfinkel, Maury Dozer, Sherry Fiedler, Lucy Tamayo, Frederick Farhado, Marina, Karen Bernstein, Esther Brower, Shannon Wall, Itamar Ben Ruth, Reuven Pinchas Ben Zara, Adele, Virginia Edwards, Nini Rosticker Shipman, Yeshayahu, Natalie Mormelli, Claire Columbia, Carla Zivit, Janet Gelb, David Shlomo Gorney, Andrea Yarsbiak. If there are others in need of this prayer for healing, I invite you to stand and call their names out one by one. ask. We join with our cantor in a prayer for healing.
Mi shevera avotenu mekol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel Tov, Jonah. You did great. We can't wait for tomorrow. I'm sure you can wait, but we can't wait. We're excited. And you were wonderful. Greg and Carrie, Mazel Tov to you as well and your whole family. I want to acknowledge some celebrity guests that are here, I guess. Our Cantora Soloist Emeritus, Naomi Tausik, is here. That's partly why the back of the synagogue sounded so beautiful as you were all singing. I want to also acknowledge my colleague, Rabbi Adam Stein, who's here from Beth Israel, and the CEO of our Jewish Federation, Ezra Shenkin, who's here as well. Thank you both for coming out this evening. Did I miss anybody? I mean, you're all celebrities, but... Oh, and Nico is here also. Well, Nico's always here. Right, Nico's a member. I gave him a key. He can turn off the lights if he wants. So, I just want to bring your attention to a few announcements as well. There is, of course, services tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock as Jonah will be called to Torah study in the morning as well at 8:30. I don't think it's here. I think it's online. And then Sunday is religious school. So I hope you'll join us. Those that are part of religious school will join us for that. And at 2 o'clock on Sunday is the weekly rally to bring the hostages home. So very important, particularly as these days continue to tick by and the world seems to be moving on and forgetting. That's at 2 o'clock at the Art Gallery. On Tuesday, our Sholom Shishim is having their games afternoon at 1 o'clock. Come play Mahjong, Canasta, Bridge, Scrabble. You don't need to register, just bring a toonie or a loonie or something to play. I guess you're playing for money, which is kind of cool. Cantor Cohen is leading a crash course in Torah trope, how to chant Torah. That's on Tuesday the 28th at 7 o'clock. So if you're interested in learning how to do what Jonah's going to do tomorrow, come on that Tuesday night to get a crash course in chanting Torah. Our Eastside Jews program is having a Shabbat dinner at the end of the month on May 31st at 6 o'clock at the Renfrew Community Center. And lastly, the two last things I'll mention tonight, our annual general meeting is on Tuesday, June 4th. Please, please, please come and attend. We will be, of course, voting on our new slate of officers, approving the budget for the congregation, as well as considering and voting on the question of our our capital campaign to renovate this building and to build a chapel and to finish the master plan of the cemetery. So please come out, and hopefully if you haven't seen the communications about that, they have been out there. One of them required you to click on a link because there was a lengthy document and attachments. So if you go back to your emails after Shabbos, you can find all the information about that. And then lastly, on June 11th is our community Tikkun Leil Shavuot. That's going to be on that Tuesday night at 8 o'clock at Or Shalom. And all of the congregations are going to be participating. Well, maybe not all, but Harel, Temple Shalom, Or Shalom, and Beth Israel will be participating in that. And so we hope that you will come out to be a part of our community study together and to have some cheesecake as well. A thank you to Greg and to Carrie, to Mary Kleiner, Mary Kleiner, and to the Sisterhood for sponsoring and preparing the delicious oneg. As Rabbi Bregman taught me, the key to something being kosher in this congregation is one of the rabbis has to taste it before. There's been a lot of delectables coming through the synagogue this week, and I appreciate that. My waistline doesn't, but I do. So. Any announcements I missed? Yeah? No? You're not working tonight. If you had one, you wouldn't say it. So. Saturday night will mark the 33rd day of the Omer. Lag BaOmer, where Hebrew characters, if they were numbers, Lamed and Gimel together form Lag, or 33. The date is significant because it was on the 33rd day of the Omer about 2,000 years ago, when a plague that had fallen upon the students of the great Talmudic sage Rabbi Akiva was ended. That a plague had befallen his students during a period called the Omer was traumatic in and of itself, particularly because the Omer had always been a joyous time. Thus, when this 49-day span between the holiday of Pesach and Shavuot, the holiday that celebrates the redemption of the Israelites from bondage in Egypt and slavery, and the receiving of Torah at Mount Sinai by those same former slaves, when that holiday is marked by Shavuot, when this was marred by such a tragedy that everyone was devastated by that, devastated by the loss of life, by the plague, devastated also by how it impacted this previously joyous time. And so the lifting of that plague was met with a great sense of relief and celebration, as one can imagine. Even today, Jews everywhere, particularly in Israel, celebrate Lag BaOmer with bonfires, with cookouts, with camping trips, maybe not so much this year in Israel, and that in itself is a sadness, to mark the time when suffering turned to celebration. I learned this week that for the past 31 days, many congregations have been adding to the counting of the Omer also the counting of the days that the hostages have been held by Hamas in Gaza. Tonight marks 230 days since they and all of Israel experienced joy. 230 days since we danced with Torah on Arab Simchat Torah, or that morning when they were brutally taken, and joy left, and sadness and bereavement and fear and anger consumed us, and so many hundreds were murdered and hundreds kidnapped. Counting has great significance in Judaism. The rabbis of the Talmud debate how we count the days of Hanukkah. Do we count up to 8? Do we count down to 1? The number of days the oil lasted. We, of course, count the 10 plagues. At Seder, we take a drop of wine out from our Kiddush cup to remind us of the suffering of the Egyptians that drowned in the splitting of the sea. We count the days of Shiva and Shloshim, 7 and 30. We count the Sheva Brachot, the 7 blessings at a wedding. We count and we count and we count. But what is consistent about all of this counting, including the days of the Omer, is that we know where and when the counting will end. Up or down, there is a finitude to our counting that makes it a liminal act, occupying a space between past and present, between now and then. The poet and theologian Marcia Falk explains it this way, that in Hebrew, twilight is bein hashmaot, literally between the suns. So too in English, twilight, two lights, or the in-between light, the light between night and day, the time that is neither day nor night, but spans between them. In film, they call it the golden hour. Liminal time, the most evocative moments of the 24 hours. That is where learning and growth takes place. That really is the golden hour, the golden time, not at the beginning or at the end of something. Where does your learning take place? It takes place in between those two. Every calendar and every culture has its holidays, big and small, that mark historical events, moments in history or seasons that are worth remembering or celebrating. But it is, I think, uniquely religious, a uniquely religious thing, maybe a uniquely Jewish thing, to mark the intervals between holidays and remembrances. In Judaism, these times can be the holidays themselves. Passover, for example, is not one day, but a week, giving us a period of time to remember the Exodus and to reflect on the themes of oppression and liberation. In the fall, when we celebrate the High Holy Days of Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, we don't just mark those as individual days, but the period of time between them takes on a heightened importance as the Yamim Noraim, the 10 days of repentance, the days of awe. A week and a half to reflect, to repent, to take stock of our lives and behaviors, the time in between those two hallmark events. And on the contemporary Jewish calendar, we just recently marked the Yoms. Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. Yom HaZikaron, Israel Memorial Day. And Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel's Independence Day. The former marking the greatest tragedy of modern Jewry, the latter marking one of modern Jewry's greatest achievements, and the 6 days between these two events, anchored by Israel's Memorial Day, Yom HaZikaron, gives us the opportunity to reflect on the human cost of those two events, the relationship between them, not just how the historical fact of one contributed to the historical fact of the other, but how tragedy and renewal, despair and hope, mourning and celebration are a continual cycle in our lives. How each require and each extract human sacrifice. The period in between things challenges us to do all that we can to ensure that whatever sacrifice we have made, whatever efforts we have extended, that none of those are in vain. That whatever it took to get from here to there was not wasted. The lesson of the importance of the intervals between is, of course, not limited to calendars and holidays. It is, as I'm alluding to already, it is an essential lesson of life. Tonight marks the beginning of a new interval for Jonah, our bar mitzvah boy. Contrary to popular Jewish wisdom, today you do not become a man or a fountain pen, as was once the fashion, but you are also no longer a boy or a child. Today, Jonah, you enter into the interval in between, adolescence, a word whose etymology is derived in part from the fact that for the next 5 or 6 years, you will addle, as in confuse and befuddle, the essence of your parents. It's not your fault, and it's not really within your control, though at times we might implore you to the contrary. You're in that space in between, you're on the path of becoming. Ask most adults, and they will tell you that they would not for $1 million, or the cost of a one-bedroom apartment in Vancouver, they would not for that cost would they want to go back to that period that you are now entering into. With all of its teenage angst and pimples and drama and social awkwardness, not to mention now social media and all the stuff that comes with it. But ask any of us that are older than you, ask them if the experience of being a teenager was worth $1 million in how it shaped and changed and prepared us to be the person that we are today. And we will all tell you, Jonah, that it was worth that and more. It is in this interval that you make some of the most important friendships of your life. It's in this interval that you challenge your own limits and experience more rapid growth and more change than at any other time since you were a baby. To quote the great English author Charles Dickens in A Tale of Two Cities, a book that I absolutely hated when I was a teenager and had to read, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, which I would add, therefore, made it the most important of times. Like so many things, it's never about where you start or where you end up. True learning and growth and transformation happens along the way. We say along the journey. The interval in between those 2 points on our lifeline. A rabbinic colleague of mine, not your mom, but it well could have been for the wisdom that they imparted, was reflecting on some of these ideas to his congregation over Shabbat. And he shared that he was approached after services by a congregant who was a marathon runner. And he explained to the rabbi that to be a successful marathon runner, one needs to pay attention to the intervals, the time between runs. It is, in his belief, I don't know because I don't run, but in his belief that the intervals are as important, if not more important, than the runs themselves. That we need to be able to rest and recover from one run in order to perform our best the next one. And so what interval are you in right now in your own life? That's not just a question for Jonah. It's a question for all of us. Each of us. Because each of us is between something. We are all in transition. We are all becoming. If we are alive, we are becoming. If we are living, we are becoming. It is immeasurably helpful to know our ultimate intended destination. While some may relish and enjoy the uncertainty of the unknown, in my experience, most are comforted by having some sense of a goal or a destination. We celebrate and mark important occasions in our calendar year and in our lives, like a bar mitzvah. But we also need to pay attention to the intervals, the time between those occasions, the span of days, of months, and years in real time. If we are fortunate, we know them in real time, and we appreciate them in real time. Even we feel blessed to be in transition from one thing to the next. But even if that insight eludes us, until we arrive at our next stage or chapter, the intervals between are as important as the ultimate objective. It's how we got from here to there. It's what we learned, how we grew and how we changed along the way that allows us to fully integrate the spiritual teachings of one holiday, of one moment, of one bar mitzvah. And it's that gives us strength and the experience to face the next that inevitably and thankfully will come and come again. Shabbat Shalom. We're actually going to count the Omer now with our cantor, and so there's a blessing for the counting of the Omer on the back of your handout and also in your siddur. We actually use both, so page 570 and your handout.
Okay. So we're going to start this melody with the words on the program, which is kind of an introduction and a way to mentally prepare ourselves for the counting of the Omer. Leshem yichud, leshem yichud, kudsha brichu shchinte. Hineni muchan umezuman, lekayem mitzvat aseh, shesfirat haomer, shesfirat haomer, shesfirat haomer, shesfirat haomer, Sheva Shabbatot. Sheva Shabbatot, temimot tiyena. Sheva Shabbatot, temimot tiyena. Yaila laila, yaila laila, yaila laila, laila, yaila laila, yaila laila. So ready now for the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai. Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kitshanu. B'mitzvotav etzivanu. Asfirat haolam. היום 32 יום, שהם 4 שבועות ו4 ימים לעומר. יאללה לילה, יאללה לילה, יאללה לילה, יאללה לילה, יאללה lilah. Today is 32 days, which is 4 weeks and 4 days of the Omer.
We'll turn to page 586 and rise for Aleinu as we conclude our service.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. A reading before Kaddish Tome, before the mourner's Kaddish. Page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. On this Shabbat, we recall those who died during this past week, these past 30 days, whose families are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could please rise and remain standing here or at home. Hildy Barnett, Rufina Cruz, Reba Diner, Corinne Gumprich, Agnes Sabendny, Cheryl Wasserman. And those for whom the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of your loved one, falls during this Shabbat, if you two could rise as I read their name. David Asmucha, Katana Barnett, Kim Bennett, Thomas R. Berger, Zalman Bild, Julius Blutstein, Monty Breyer, Gerald Churtko, Zelda Cohen, Esther Commissaro, Rose Davis, Gladys Eagles Kahn, Louis Easton, Sarah Etkin, Bram Felger, Robert David Fiedler, Esther Fogelbaum, Riva Girdle, Benjamin Gilligson, Ken Gervitz, Marcelo Glaubach, Clara Columbia, Bill Halpern, Lillian Halter, Jack Horlick, Alana Huberman, Inga Kay, Yitzhak Kipnis, Ben Kramer, Jenny Cusson, Helen Martin, Max Menkes, Nedra Morton, Daniel Nussgart, Beatrice Pitters, Felice Rabinovich, Rabbi Harold Rubens, the second rabbi of our congregation, John Scott, Gertrude Shapiro, Pauline Schiffman, Ruth Starrin, Libby Teisch, Shep Voisin, Sid Zbarsky, Harold Zlotnick, Rivka Zuckerwitz. If there's names that I have missed or mispronounced, if you've come to say Kaddish for any other reason, if you could stand and call their names out one by one as well. Looking around the congregation, seeing those that have stood in mourning, we don't want them to stand alone, so we'll stand now by their side, providing the comfort of our presence, inviting those who wish to join the mourners on page 598 in Kadisha Tom. Yit Gadal, V'yit Gadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yoma Divrach Yeruteh, V'yamlich Malchuteh, B'chayechon of Yomechon, Ufhayed Chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala V'zman Kariv, V'maru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Omaya. Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yit Ba'ar V'yit V'yit Naseh V'yit Adar V'yit Aleh V'yit Alal Shemei Kudisha B'richu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tush Bechata V'nechemata Damiron Be'alma V'maru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'yal Yisrael V'maru Amen. Osei Shalom B'romav Huya say shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'kol yoshvei tevel v'maru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, Amen. You can be seated for just a moment. Two other quick announcements. I just want to acknowledge Simon Krakowski, who's in the back there. Simon, Simon's one of our Gabbayim, but also a medical student, and is heading down to Los Angeles for like the next 3 or 4 months, 3 months or so, 2 to 3 months. To work on his studies there. So we're not going to see you for a bit, Simon. We want to wish you well on your studies and your exams. And I also, speaking of Los Angeles, want to welcome dear friends of mine and Sharon and our family, the Rubenstein family that is here, Josh and Rachel and Jenna in that order. And Rachel is a student leader at Hillel at University of Wisconsin in Madison. And we're so proud of you, Rachel. We know it's tough there. And we give you lots of koyach, lots of strength. So we're glad that you're all here with us. Anybody else visiting from out of town or anything? A lot of people are visiting from out of town. Not connect. The whole B'nai Mitzvah crew, you're all wonderful. We're glad you're here. We're glad that you made it from D.C. The flight was canceled, but you got in. That was terrific. So we're glad that you're all here. And so we can enjoy the Kiddush that the Gardner Browns and the Sisterhood and Mary Kleiner have pulled together. Jonah, if you'll join us over here to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi with the cantor. And if the congregation could please rise.
I think I need it. Vayhi erev vayhi boker yom hashishi vaychul hashamayim ve'aretz ve'kol tzeva'am vaychal Elohim et yom hashvi'i u'mekadesh oto Ashbot bayom hashvi'i mikol malachto asher asa vayvarach Elohim et yom hashvi'i u'kadesh oto Kivo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu V'Shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziyat mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim. Can uncover the challah. Ooh, is this a Kleiner challah? I thought so. It had that Kleiner look to it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Take a piece and then go share it with your family, okay? Take a piece, huh?
We'll conclude page 626.
Good, and then take the rest.
Ein keloheinu, ein kadonenu, ein kemalkeinu, ein kemoshienu, mi Eloheinu, mi chadonenu, mi chemalkeinu, mi chemoshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, nodel Adonenu, nodel Malkeinu, nodel Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.